please rise for the invocation delivered by Dr. John T. Insada from First Christian Church. Thank you.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we are grateful for each and every opportunity we have to serve our fellow men and women, for the opportunities we have to provide leadership. We are grateful for this group assembled here who have reached out to this community and who are partnering with each other to lead us and to move us forward. As the celebration of the March on Frankfort is before us, we are reminded that it takes leaders, both elected leaders and leaders within the community and within the clergy, so that together we might bring out the very best in ourselves, that we might do the best for one another, and that we as a community, Frankfort, might be the best that we can be. So we give thanks today for these leaders. We ask your blessing upon them and that you will grant them wisdom and cooperation as they converse and work together to lead us into the future. And we give thanks to you, for you are holy, and because you are holy, we pray only to you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Commissioner Tommy Hayes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated, and I would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Mr. Roach.
Here.
Mr. Haynes.
Here.
Mr. Bowers. Here. Mr. Haynes. Here. Mayor May.
Here, we do have a quorum present, and next item would be any action on the minutes from previous meetings.
Mayor,
Commissioner.
are you okay?
Just keep going, I'm fine.
Well, on the minutes of January 13th, I just wondered if we might want to add this one little bit in under discussion items. Paragraph 2, the Vicky Pettis, Mike Rosenstein spoke concerning the joint city-county resolution. If you'll remember, we did pose the question, the concern that they were talking about grants, getting grants with this resolution as a basis. So Mr. Rosenstein did say he would not come back to this commission requesting matching funds for grants, and so I was wondering, I thought it might be good to have that reflected in the minutes, if anybody else thinks that, I know in the resolution we alluded to that, but I thought that might be good to have added to the minutes. What do you think?
It's fine. If it was said at the meeting, it can be added. We can't change things that happen at the meeting, but since that did happen, so that would be appropriate if you would like to amend, add that to the minutes.
Ms. Noonan, do you know how to word it, or should I word it in a motion? Or
I know how to word it,
Okay.
but you need to make a motion with it.
I move that we amend the minutes of January 13th, second paragraph under discussion item, to reflect that Mr. Rosenstein did make the statement that he would not be coming back to the city to request matching funds for any grants that they may apply for.
Second.
So that moved and second by Commissioner Bowers, second by Commissioner Haynes. I'm sorry, Haynes. Is that, I'm trying to hear down this way. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Ayes have it. Entertain a motion on the rest of the minutes to be approved as amended.
I move that we adopt the minutes from January 13th work session as amended, January 27th regular meeting, and the special meeting of February 3rd, and the special meeting of February 3rd.
Moved by Commissioner Bowers to approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
Second, oh, that was all together. Okay. Second by Commissioner Hedden. Clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowers?
Yes.
Mr. Head? Yes. Mayor May?
Yes, that minutes are approved. No ceremonial items. Next time will be citizen comments. This is the time when any citizen may speak on agenda items or if it's a regular meeting, any other items. I know some folks have said they would like to speak, and I will call on Ms. Montgomery, and if you, just, folks, when you come forward, just, even though I know your name, just state your name for the record so the city clerk can have it. And we'll remind everyone that if you haven't been here before, it's a 5-minute limitation on remarks, and the city attorney keeps the time on that. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Larry Montgomery. I live here in Frankfort. I have worked part-time for the City Parks and Recreation Historic Society for several years, more than I'd like to quote, but I have helped manage both Juniper Hills Pool and East Frankfort Pool when it was in existence. Several years ago, there was a need that school-age youth were going to school in the winter months without a winter coat. Someone had to take care of that need. There was a need here in our community for an alternative program for the youth who had behavior and learning problems. And that need was turned into Wilson Street School, where they received counseling and guidance. Some parents and educators here in Frankfort felt a need for a more religious form of education other than Good Shepherd School. And with the creation of the Frankfort Christian Academy, that need was taken care of. For a number of years, students at Frankfort High School were allowed to leave the building for lunch. Some would go to Pick-Pack, or walk downtown, or go home for lunch, or the soup kitchen. But not all had money to eat out, or there was no food at home. So there was a need for a place where all students would have the opportunity to eat a breakfast and a lunch. Thus, the cafeteria was built. Over the past several years, I have worked at Juniper Hills Pool. I have observed there was a need of a family-oriented water aquatics outdoor facility. One where the entire family can have fun. Not a place where you only jump in or go off the diving board. And a pool that is in need of many repairs. A need that will tie in with other things at Juniper Hills. Golf, tennis, volleyball, playground, picnic, and hopefully soon a walking trail. I hope someday soon I will be able to say that that need for a family outdoor water center in Frankfort was approved and built. We owe that need to the youth of Frankfort. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And Coach, did you?
I'm Tom Roberts. I'm a Special Services Supervisor for Parks and Recreation. I've worked for Parks and Recreation in this capacity for over 30 years. And I was thinking today, just what a wonderful opportunity we had almost 60 years ago. No longer did our youth have to swim in unclean, unsupervised areas, where now we have another opportunity tonight. Juniper Hill Pool has served our community well over the years. I am in charge of prepping the pool each year, getting it ready for the season to begin, and I see this all the time. And we have an opportunity tonight and later in our future to take care of this need. You can only expect so much from an aging facility. Our facility met the needs of the people 60 years ago. Today it does not. We cannot meet the needs of our young children. There has to be more than a splash pool, which is very difficult for the children to use. we need to provide more, even though we are ADA compliant. We need to provide more for our special needs community. We need to be progressive, and we need to continue in all wellness activities. This is a basic part of our community that we continue to work on and needs to still be improved. We have an opportunity to provide a beautiful venue that, tied in with the walking trails and fitness trails at Juniper Hill Park, would provide a wonderful facility and continue to have these needs met in our society today. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Good evening. My name is Bobby Aldridge. I'm a local archery coach, actually specifically the head coach of West Ridge Elementary. And I want to give a big shout out of congrats to our Western Hills High School team and our West Ridge Elementary team for just winning the region tournament this past weekend. I'm sorry I missed last meeting. I'm really sorry for that, but all of you should have received a special VIP invitation to a tournament that's coming up this weekend, this Friday and Saturday, where we have over 600 kids registered to participate in this tournament. Our region tournament had over 800 participants, and the tournament we went to before that, both of these in Nicholasville, had over 900 kids. So just a little bit of statistics on the National Archery in the Schools program. This year, 2014, is our 13th year. We had 22% growth in 2013 with a total of 12 million students and 12,000 schools affected by the program. We added Mongolia, Manitoba, Prince Edward Island, and some additional countries. We had our second year for the Guinness record world largest archery tournament. And we had, for the first time ever, we had 48 U.S. kids and their family members go to South Africa for the first ever national tournament, first ever world tournament. The expectations for 2014 are that we'll add Delaware, Ontario, Egypt, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Emirates of Arabia as additional countries. We expect to give out over $77,000 worth of scholarships at the national tournament. And we expect another Guinness World Record at this tournament with over 10,000 kids participating. The World Tournament will be over 3,000 kids in Madison, Wisconsin. And this year's state tournament will be a new record for the state of Kentucky at over 4,000 kids. So we have lots of archery going on around. But our number one need is an indoor facility. The National Archery in the Schools program is an indoor program. We commend our Parks Department for the Cove Springs Archery Park. It's really nice, but there are some things to point out. It is outside. It is not to Junior Olympic Archery Development specifications. And it's just not big enough for the size of number of kids that we're talking about of some of these tournaments that we're going to. And I don't want my elementary kids standing outside shooting in the snow when they're trying to practice for their team events. And something else to point out, that a couple years ago, we had a couple kids from Frankfort, Kentucky go to the Junior Olympic Archery Development National Tournament in Hamilton, Ohio. So the Kentucky flag was flying proud over the tournament just because of some kids here from Frankfort, Kentucky. So I would ask that you keep those needs in mind too. There's some other needs that were mentioned, and it's all related to family needs. And I think that there could be one synergy project to take care of all those needs at once. And we're seeing other communities do it, and they're being successful before they even get built. So I'd ask for you to consider the indoor needs of our local youth and continue to support our families like you have been, and continue to support archery like we hope you are. And I hope you come to the tournament this weekend and check it out. And we also hope that you continue to take a strong look at swim play concept. You might call it a different name, you might come up with a different plan, but I think the need is there, and we could certainly fill it up in a hurry, no doubt. So, thank you for your time, and thank you for my few minutes of conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Commissioner, if you don't mind answering a question. You might
No,
have
Just a
question.
couple of quick questions. I appreciate you coming.
Sure.
I was really involved in archery with my kids and with the school, and we went to a lot of things you all did
Yeah,
as
we
well.
love the Christian Academy.
Yeah. The only question I have is, I know practice is largely you practice in a gym or in a facility such as that. What do you, the concern I had on Swim Play Frankfort, the scale needed for the tournaments we participated in, and I assume it's only gotten bigger since I was involved in it, I don't see how an indoor, that we could build anything of the scale needed for the type of tournaments you're talking about. Are you looking for it primarily as a practice facility or for localized tournaments or what?
Well, actually, the current swim play concept has a specific indoor range, archery, a dedicated
I saw
archery
that.
range that is capable of having individual practice and team practices and small tournaments. It's also would be capable for having some of the indoor JOAD type distances where we need to shoot out to 25 meters for some of that. That's a smaller venue within that facility. And then the larger rooms that are within the Swim Play Frankfort have been preliminary designed in a fashion taking into account lighting, seating, and exit entry doors, concession areas, so that each one of those large rooms is capable of having an indoor NASP style range. Now, I don't have an exact number of targets that we can put in there, but just from my rough estimates, I think we could easily host the state tournament there.
So you think you put hundreds of targets?
I think we could get over 150 targets in there. It's just a rough guess on my part, but I think we could have a state level tournament. This is Frankfort, the capital. We could easily have those 4,000 kids that are going to Louisville come here to Frankfort and have that. Is it big enough for nationals? No way.
No, and I didn't mean that. I was just trying to get a sense of what it would encompass.
But we could take just one of those rooms and have a tournament that's larger than our region tournament. At our region tournament, we have 30 targets in the gym. That's 60 kids a flight. 60 kids basically every hour that are shooting. With one of those indoor rooms, we could probably get, 50, 60 targets. We could almost double probably the size of the number of kids that are shooting per hour. That's a lot of kids. And then those kids are running around in the concession area, out in the waiting areas, buying food from the concession stands, and the families are hanging out, being spectators in the stands. When you come to, if you come to Western Hills, you'll see that we have the lower level bleachers for coaches and some people that are not able to get up the steps. And then you'll be able to go up the steps and sit in an elevated position, which makes it easier for parents and family members to watch their kids shoot, because they don't have to look while coaches are walking back and forth, keeping up with their students. So you can look over top and keep an eye on them. So the concept is there, so you can have a large tournament, or you can have a smaller one. Maybe like the basketball area or the tennis area would be just archery only, while there's other things going on in the other areas. Or maybe even just strictly held to just the archery only component. Did that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Coach. Anyone else? All right. Next item would be. You got one. Oh, we do have. Okay, sorry.
My usual.
Sorry.
My name is Donna Hecker. I'm president of Walk Bike Frankfort. And just to tie in with what some of the folks in front of me were saying, I just came from the Early Learning Village. It was my second family fitness fair in as many weeks. And the overwhelming question on folks' minds when they come up to you at one of these events is, where can they go where it's safe to exercise, where it's safe to take their children bicycle riding, where it's safe to go for walks. So this was just a huge issue, and I just wanted to ask the City Commission that as we're considering projects like a possible Juniper Hills Park expansion, as we're looking at roadway improvements on Wilkinson Street Boulevard, as we're considering other things in the future, that we continue, and actually even more so, that we up the way in which we include people in those plans, that we really look at how we're going to make it safer, more accessible, more convenient for our citizens to get out and enjoy recreational opportunities, to get from one point to another without having to use a car, to be able to get to a new pool at Juniper Hills by way of bicycle or walking. So that's all I wanted to ask of you tonight, that we continue to look for ways to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Tina O'Neill, and I live here in Frankfort. I am for the Swim Play Frankfort. We need a sports complex that will handle things for our younger generation and for our children to get involved with their parents and vice versa. I think these activities in our children's lives keep them out of trouble, you know, and makes it more parent and child working together toward a goal. I think, you know, I've got 2 grandchildren that are coming up. I would like to see that for them, for their future. I know parents out there are willing to spend the money for their children. I, for one, did for mine. I had one daughter that was in competitive figure skating, and we literally spent $1,000 a month on our child. When you count in all expenses, we drove to Cincinnati for her private coaching and, you know, competitions and hotels and eating out. And I think that this venue that we are thinking about for Swim Play Frankfort would be a great, I can't say it enough, great concept for Frankfort, for people to come together and people to, you know, for Frankfort to bring in revenue. People are going to eat here. People are going to, you know, I can't tell you the competitions we went to for our daughter, and we stayed at hotels for 2 nights. And that can be for Frankfort too. Those things can happen here if people are willing to go forward with this opportunity. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Brooks. I ran the parks here for a few years. This is a quality of life issue, no question about it. But let's do what we can afford right now. And I think we can afford the proposal that's going to Juniper Hill Park. All these other issues are good. I mean, my brother-in-law started the archery program, and we do it at the Bluegrass State Games. We're very supportive of it. You know, you get into, that's kind of a school issue, but, you know, we can't be everything to everybody. And I think it's time to do what we can afford to do. In correspondence that I've sent you all, I remember Charlie King and Jack Robb telling me that in 1956 they went to Farmers Bank and they got all the quarters they could get. And they went to all the black children they could find in Frankfort and said, you have a right to go to this pool, go to it. And here we are 58 years later talking about the same swimming pool. And I think we need to take a step at a time, and this is what we can afford. I know that all of you all support everything that's been talked here. I do too. But being a realist, you know, we need to do what we can afford to do. And I think the Juniper Hill Park proposal is doable, it's affordable, and It's time to step to the plate and let's do it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Next item would be, we appreciate everyone's input too, by the way. Next item would be 4.1, second reading of an ordinance. We could go ahead and just read it by title, summary only, then we'll entertain any questions or comments commissioners may have.
By title, an ordinance amending ordinance number 3, 2013 series appropriating the revenue to be received by the city of Frankfort for the fiscal year 2013-2014. Summary, this ordinance amends the city of Frankfort budget for fiscal year 2013-2014 to include a loan repayment of $230,000 from CEDA, doing business as KCDC, and identify projects for funding from the repayment. The projects identified are 2014 American Fire Grant Match of $72,000, Greening America's Capital's Design Engineering of $30,000, Wayfinding Signage Plan, $25,000, Historic Frankfort Preservation Fund for grant loans, $40,000, and demolition of 5 structures failing to adhere to Code Enforcement Board orders, $60,000. The total amount for the identified projects is $227,000.
Any questions or comments from commissioners? No. Ready for motion?
Take a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Rowe, second by Commissioner Haynes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk please call the roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Hadden? Yes. Mayor May?
Yes, 4.1 is adopted. Next item is second reading. Item 4.2, if we could read this by title and summary only.
By title, an ordinance amending Chapter 72, parking regulations of the City of Frankfort, Sections 72.25, 72.98, and 72.99 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances. By summary, this amendment provides for the enforcement of the city's parking ordinance, including authorizing the impoundment of vehicles where 5 outstanding parking citations exist, and the discounting of amounts due on parking citations unless a person has received 6 or more parking citations in a calendar year. It also sets forth the process to appeal a parking citation and the details of the board hearing the appeals.
Move adoption.
Moved by Commissioner Bowers. Second by Commissioner Roach. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk please call the roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Hadden? Yes. Mayor May?
Yes, 4.2 is adopted. Next item is second reading of 4.3. Read this by title and summary only, please.
By title, an ordinance reducing the boundaries of the city of Frankfort. Summary, this ordinance provides that the approximately 5.48 acre uninhabited tract described in the ordinance is de-annexed or stricken from the boundaries of the city of Frankfort.
Move adoption.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Bowers, second by Commissioner Haynes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk please call the roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Hadden?
And it's finally got through its second reading, yes.
Mayor May?
Yes, 4.3 is adopted. Next, we have some first readings. The first one is an ordinance that deals with the definitions for part-time employment. And if we could read this by title and summary only.
An ordinance amending Chapter 37, Section 37.02 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances. By summary, this ordinance amends the definition of a part-time employment with the City of Frankfort set forth in Section 37.02 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances to state that a part-time employee will not be allowed to work more than 99 hours a month without the written approval of the city manager.
Are there any questions on this? That's good. Second is an ordinance, first reading of 4.5. We can read this by title and summary only.
An ordinance amending Chapter 37, Section 37.13 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances. By summary, this ordinance amends Section 37.13 of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances to state that non-exempt employees who are called to work due to an emergency during a city-paid holiday that the employee otherwise would not have been scheduled to work shall receive their normal holiday accrual or holiday pay plus time and a half for the actual time worked on the holiday. If a non-exempt employee is designated to be on call during a company-paid holiday and is called to work due to an emergency, the employee shall receive time and a half for the actual time worked on the holiday, plus holiday pay or holiday leave, depending upon normal department practice.
4.5 has had its first reading. Next, 4.6, could we do this by title only, please?
An ordinance amending section 37.31 pay plan, classification and compensation of the City of Frankfort Code of Ordinances. Summary, this ordinance amends section 37.31 of the Code of Ordinances to create the job titles of Transit Dispatcher 1, Transit Dispatcher 2, and Transit Dispatcher 3 to more accurately reflect the actual job performed by these individuals employed by the City of Frankfort.
So this have all had their first reading. Next, orders. Order we have is 5.1, which deals with our sewer department, and is there any questions about this one? Ready for a motion?
Move approval.
Moved by Commissioner Haynes. Second by Commissioner Roach. There's no further discussion. Clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Hadden? Yes. Mayor May?
Yes, 5.1 is adopted. We have no resolutions. The next item will be consent calendar items. Consent calendar items will be read by the city manager. All those that signify their presence tonight will be considered to have voted in the affirmative on the consent calendar unless they filed both modification papers with the city clerk. I don't believe there are any. So at the appropriate time, someone make a motion and we'll approve the consent calendar as block. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 7.1 is authorize a $25,000 amendment to the Webster Environmental Engineering Agreement to provide additional odor control services. The revised contract amount is $50,000. Item 7.2 is authorize filing a $27,000 DHS FEMA Fire Protection Grant application for a fire extinguisher simulator. Local match is $2,700 and is budgeted. Item 7.3 is a $28,380 contract amendment number 2 with Bell Engineering for the Ridgeview Pump Station due to project delays with other utilities. It should be noted that the contractor will provide reimbursement for at least part of the cost of the amendment number 2. Revised contract amount is $119,330. Item 7.4 is to authorize Mayor May to sign a letter of commitment to Renaissance on Main program, allowing DFI and the City of Frankfort to continue in the program and be eligible for funding. Item 7.5 is to authorize a $100,000 not-to-exceed contract with Source Technologies to provide odor control at 3 pump stations on Frankfort's east side. Item 7.6 is a $152,000 grant application for the Governor's Highway Traffic Safety Fund to provide staff overtime and use of equipment to provide outreach, education, and enforcement. There is no match required. Item 7.7 is personnel. We have before the commission an appointment of Terrell White and Greta DeSantis in the police E911 department. These both individuals would be telecommunicators, and the effective date would be February 25, 2014.
Heard the consent items read. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Roach, second by Commissioner Hedden. Consent calendar items are approved. Thank you. I'll have some more board appointments for March. There were a couple of folks that couldn't get their resumes in under the deadline, but they'll be on for the March agenda. And next item is to approve professional service agreement with Branstetter Carroll on the Family Aquatic Center. And I think we have that in front of us. So if are there any questions on that? I don't think we have Mr. Branstetter here, and I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, commissioners. If not, I think we can entertain a motion on that.
I do have some questions.
Commissioner Hedden.
Since this is our meeting that's also provided onto our local public access, could you please give some information to our public regarding the cost of what it is to make the 25-meter pool, to enclose it, if you don't mind? I mean, I have the information here, but it's not access to the,
Does everyone have the one-page summary that we provided?
Yes, sir. Right.
Actually, I don't have.
But for the record, my name's Larry Brandstetter with Brandstetter Carroll, and Mike Carroll's with me tonight, and both of us have been actively engaged in the project. What questions do you have? So if you've got, Ms. Hedden, you've got, or Councilwoman Hedden, you've got this
yes.
summary here.
Could you just explain the cost? It looks like the total project cost to enclose the pool would be an extra $3 million, $3.5 million?
Right. Okay, would you like to know where those costs came from?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a breakdown for the public.
Well, the building construction is the biggest line item. That's, we have done several of these types of projects. Just finished one in Winchester, Clark County, about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was an addition to their existing center. And as we looked at what a project like this would need, we used 12,500 square feet as the amount of floor area inside the building. And that would include about 10,000 square feet for the pool itself and about 2,500 square feet for support space. We made an allowance of support space, not knowing, what you would want to have in there. But again, having done this before, we know that would be sufficient, depending on, and then you could find that based on your particular needs here in the city. And these projects have been coming in at about $225 a square foot. Any more rec centers and rec centers are running around $210, and the natatorium portion is usually a little more expensive. So for the sake of comparison, we made it $225, and I think that's a number that's very easy to, I shouldn't say easy, it's we're very comfortable with that number. Then we put on a 10% contingency, and then we have what we call owner costs, or sometimes called soft costs, which is design, legal, testing, miscellaneous expenses, at another 10% of the previous total. And we put in a $100,000 equipment allowance for bleachers and time clocks and any kind of other equipment that you would like to have. And that brings us to $3.5 million. Now, the project in Winchester, the construction cost 4 or 5 years ago was right at $2.7 million. So we're right in the same range. And if you would want to see what that looks like, I would say go over there. But what we opted to do was to make the building like any other public building, one that would last for 50 or 100 years. One alternative would be to use a metal building, but we don't advise that for cities to use simply because they might last 20 years and you have to replace them, and they just don't. As a taxpayer, we would never want to have that built in our community. So that's our recommendation there. And then we take a look at the operating cost. I'm sorry, that's the capital cost. Do you have any other questions?
No, I don't regarding that,
It's about 7.
but I do have other questions as well.
Yeah, sure.
But
I just had a quick one.
Yeah.
I know they're not very sturdy and there are problems with it, but what's been your experience with these bubble things people try?
Well, usually they want to get rid of them.
I kind of thought that's the way it was, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask. And what are the problems?
They're ugly.
Well, people normally want to take them up and put them down, based on the season. And in a municipal environment, that's really tough to do, because people will take down this big bubble, and sometimes you'll get students to do it or whatever have you. And so the wear and tear on just putting it up in the fall and taking it down in the summer has a lot of wear and tear on it. Shelbyville had one from, must have been what, Mike, 15 years ago? And they worked very hard to get their indoor center built so they could get rid of that bubble. That was the whole idea. We saw it with the private sector, and even those are no longer being built. So they just turned out to be more trouble than they were worth.
Thank you.
My other question is, do you, based on the proposals that you've given us, do you honestly feel there's enough restrooms? Do you think that we could look at maybe expanding some restrooms when you get more into the design phase?
You mean on
with the
On the
family?
pool house, you mean?
Yes.
Well, Mike, do you want to respond to that?
We typically base the calculations for restrooms on something that we use on all of our projects based upon experience, because, and to answer your question, Councilman Head, yes, we can look at that if there's a feeling that there's a need for additional restrooms, because we generally try to minimize the number of restrooms we put in there, because quite frankly, people don't use them that much. I mean, you get a lot of, you know, you
They're
have a
just
lot
using
of.
the pool? I'm just kidding.
This is not a televised subject that I feel comfortable talking about, but yes, that particularly for the segment of our population that tend to be under 5 feet of height, kids haven't find it very convenient. But that's why we sanitize the water, and that's why we're looking at all kinds of disinfection systems that make that a better system than what it is. In fact, and that's one of the things we will be looking at on this pool, is the use of ultraviolet as a disinfection system for the pool, because we've just bid one, particularly for the spray ground, for that activity. We definitely will, because what we're doing is trying to look down the road a little bit, because that will be required at some point in our lives, and if we can put it in now, and we may even bid it as an alternate bid, but we will definitely try to get a UV system into this facility.
Just as a mother of two 6-year-olds, who also has a husband who may be taking kids up, the idea of maybe looking at more family restrooms versus just, I think it was just one? Or did you
I
have
thought
two?
we had, yeah, I think we had 2 family restrooms, and I very, very wholeheartedly agree with that subject. And and it's not just for, it's for elderly people also. I mean, people who
Right.
need assistance. There's a lot of reasons to use a family restroom these days.
There is.
Yeah.
There's, and just to look at that as you go on to building it, we build things in this town, and it seems we don't always remember to look at certain things, such as parking lots or that aspect, but making sure that we do have the restrooms looked at.
You know, and again, that's one of the things that we've talked about with this pool and the concept designs we've worked forward with on so far, is that this pool will be as inclusive as any pool that we've worked on in terms of getting people into all the activities that we've got there. We've worked with the topography that's there, that we've got. I think it's pretty exciting that the opportunities that we're going to be able to create out there for all kinds of folks.
I believe those are my only questions at this point in time for you all. I really thank you for coming and.
Any other commissioners have questions?
I have just a real quick one. I don't know if you can answer this, and I may be not even asking the right question, but what percentage of the cost of the project costs us as a result of prevailing wage?
We normally figure about 20%.
That's what I figured. That's what I had. So you're figuring we could have done it 20% cheaper if we didn't have prevailing wage?
That's probably true.
So you could save $1 million?
We haven't had any good examples, but I had one back with Fort Wright on their city hall. This was in the 90s. This was before the General Assembly passed the prevailing wage bill in 96. We were working on the Fort Wright City Hall, and I think our cost estimate was $1.2 million. And then we found out from the Attorney General's office that we didn't have to pay prevailing wage, and the project came in at $950,000.
So you even beat it a little bit.
Yeah, so that was as good of an indicator as we've seen.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Branstad and Mr. Carroll, thank you. We look forward to working on this project with you, and by adopting this tonight, it will allow us to stay on track for this construction to begin in August. Still looking at August 1st as a construction start date. Thank you. And we appreciate all the input that we've got from folks, and we'll continue to listen. And as we've said before, the commission, by supporting this outdoor water park, does not preclude the future consideration of an indoor facility that we've continued to look at for the last several years.
And to that, Mayor, just that we are trying to send out some information to work with the county.
Oh, yes, yes.
If you want to touch on that, Mayor.
That's fine. As Commissioner Hedden said, we're hoping that the Franklin County Fiscal Court, Franklin County government will be a partner in this facility as well. That was good. You think that thing was picking up our voice from back there? Thanks, Siri. Can we ask it how much it'll actually cost? No? All right, thank you all. So now we'd entertain, if there's no other questions, we'd entertain a motion to approve the professional service agreement with Bastetter and Co.
I make a motion to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Roach, second by Commissioner Haynes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Roach?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Bowers?
Yes.
Mr. Hadden?
I do know that there is a need in this community, and I do know that there's also a need for indoor recreation. I am hesitant of saying yes, spending $5 million when I wish that we had done a little bit more, working with our community, actually getting in touch with community members versus just a board and something that we did 10 years ago. Don't get me wrong, I think it's a great plan. We do know there's two things that this community needs when it comes to Parks and Rec, based upon your plan, with this being one of them, of the outdoor aquatic center, the second being an indoor recreation center. I personally wish that we could have done this more together by spending this money at this point in time. I'm going to vote present.
Mayor May?
Yes, thank you so much, and thanks to all of our Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for your diligent work over the years and on this continued project, and to our staff. We appreciate all the great work that you all do, and to our commissioners, thank you all, and hope that we'll be able to build this on time and within budget. And I don't know if we should look at most of our projects. I know that we've used construction management in the past, so I don't know if that's something that we need to consider now, or just wait till later. Okay. Thank you, and then we'll obviously accept bids on all the services. All right, well, thank you all again. Next item, new business, 10.1.
We got to do more old business, right?
Oh, any other old business?
Where's Siri for that
There's
one?
nothing else. I was gonna say, I don't have anything on there, but if you all want to add something, yes, sir. Okay.
You know us. Go ahead,
Go ahead.
Commissioner.
You sure? I just have one.
Go ahead.
I believe staff is ready, which is why I'm going to bring this up, can we discuss the dates for the business-friendly forum as a commission? Does everyone have their calendars?
Mine's a little bit uncertain on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays until the session's over, but
Understood.
doesn't mean we can't do it.
City manager, do you want to ask staff what, any dates that they have, or do you want us to just kind of give a couple dates as a commission right now?
Our staff is meeting for the third time tomorrow morning to finish the discussions on where we are internally.
Okay.
We can chat then, and I can contact the commission.
Okay. Shoot us 2 or 3 dates.
Give us a couple dates after you guys meet.
If you would just tell us, do you prefer day hours, evening hours, and is there a particular day of the week, and we can just schedule, talk amongst ourselves.
I think that if you're trying to get business people here, the first question to ask is, which time are they most likely to come? Are they most likely to come at night, or are they most likely to come during the day? And then whatever that answer is, that's when we should have it.
Or on a Saturday, or,
Right. What is the most likely time for them to come, and then that would be what we would shoot for.
you're right.
Does anyone else object to that? Okay.
So you'll be coming back to us with a date?
I think
I can do Saturdays, Mondays, and Thursday evenings, and pretty much that's about it.
And I guess I'd say one other thing, because obviously when you're always dealing with 5 people's schedules, plus the people that are going to be coming from staff, I'd say it's fairly likely that we all won't be able to be there. We'll just have to do the best that we can.
Contact you.
Well, thank you. So we'll send an email or
I like Lynn's times.
Or a phone call if
Or
you
a phone
prefer a
call.
phone call.
I prefer email, but does anybody want something different? We can tailor make this to your communication needs, preferences.
I prefer email.
Okay. Thanks. Any other old business?
Kind of related to that. Well,
You go
Commissioner
ahead.
Roach goes
You
first.
go ahead,
No,
Commissioner
mine might
Bowers.
even relate even more after you do yours.
Okay. I think we should have a separate meeting for the goals, you know, where.
Yes, I knew that you were gonna say that.
You
That's
did.
why I wanted to wait, yes.
You did that. Well, you were just prescient. I think we should have a separate meeting. We go ahead and get the report from the city manager on where we are on the current goals, and then solicit the 3 to 4 that we'll each put forward, then get rid of the overlap, and then have a separate meeting in March to discuss those.
Okay. And I guess sorry.
And if everybody's all right with that, when would we want to have it?
Well, I think that one would be okay during day hours if that works best for everybody. Or night, doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think we can make day work.
Well,
What's good for everybody?
Monday, Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays for a day.
Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Monday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday.
What's good for you, Commissioner Hadden?
I'm just gonna throw this out here, that March and April are gonna be pretty open for me. I'm gonna get summoned for jury duty in May, and so, just, I've tried to,
Sorry.
You know, Commissioner Hadden.
So March.
Since we have a police force, I was called for jury duty twice when I was mayor, and I was always happy to serve because our police officers don't arrest innocent people. Just kidding to the courts. That was just a court humor. Always do that, and they don't care. So good luck with that.
Oh, yeah, I look forward to it. I hope it's part of our duty as citizens. The 3rd or the 10th on a Monday, or the 17th.
How about the 17th?
That's good.
All right.
How about that for you, Mayor?
Oh, St. Patrick's Day.
What time?
Just remember to wear green or she'll pinch you.
I won't.
I bet.
Looking forward to it.
What time?
2 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
2's good.
Okay. Anybody? Oh, you'll send two?
That's a Monday.
2's better for me.
Is 5
but
not good?
Well, I could do.
Is 5 bad?
It's
We
St.
can do
Patrick's
5.
Day, there's gonna be crazy people running around, so we have to be ready to stop it. Just kidding.
We don't have to do that, our staff does that.
I don't care, 2 or 5, it doesn't matter to me.
Office hours. We,
Oh, staff, you know what?
Oh, staff is
Staff
already
would
here.
always ask us to do it earlier.
Oh, let's do 2 then.
Am I right, staff? Round of applause. Getting the thumbs.
yeah, okay.
So 2 o'clock, so
And that's all I've
that was
got
easy.
on the whole business.
Easy. Commissioner Bowers?
Mine does kind of relate a little bit. I had a feeling somebody might bring that up because I think I saw an email or Tim's update, or I'm sorry, Mr. Zislin's update or something about the goals, but I think in our last meeting, I thought I heard a comment that we would be, somebody would be meeting, John Gray's team would be meeting with someone here at City Hall, and I just want to say that I know that people look at that old Y and they think, when are they gonna tear that down? I've been hearing that a long time, and when I saw the picture in the paper last week following the meeting, I'm like, I know that's not really falling into the river. Somebody had to angle their camera that way. That building is really not falling into the river, because the next day I drove across the bridge and it is upright. And I think there's been a lot of conversation about that building for a very long time, and I used to be one of the people that wanted that building torn down. But since that time, I have looked at the preliminary plans that the Grays have for that building, and I think that if the public could see what the Grays want to do with that building, they would be very pleased that someone from the community wants to spend his money, wants to finance it himself, wants to do something positive for Frankfort, and not with city tax dollars. And so what I would like to see, and I know Commissioner Roach, you want it gone, but I think everybody wants it gone in the condition that it's in. But I would argue that if we have a citizen that wants to do something positive with that building, that will bring people into this area, and that will bring people into this area. They want to do a hotel with a restaurant, and there's parking spaces behind it. And I think this city needs to do something to get behind that and show that we are encouraging that. And then if it cannot be done, it cannot be done. But I think what we need to do in March is, one of my goals is going to be that we do something definitive about that. We've been talking about that building since I was on the commission 8 years ago. We've had closed meetings about that. I and several of the other commissioners have looked at the plans. We've met with the city manager. I've gone and I've looked at the other properties that have been developed that are assets to our downtown now. And I would like to see the old Y added to that list. And I would like for city staff and the commission, maybe in this meeting on March 17th, or if we need yet a third meeting.
They're coming
There's
on the
any on the
10th.
10th.
They're
Well,
already coming.
that's
It's on the
fine.
10th.
I want us to have a meeting of all of the parties and their team, and I want us to figure out a realistic time schedule. I want this commission to be behind something positive happening for this city. And I know that, this is drug out a really, really long time, but at some point I heard the statement made that funding could not be granted because the city was not perceived as supporting this. And I just think it's real important that when we have citizens in the community that want to do something for the community, we not handicap them. So
Well-
I would like to see us work on that. That's going to be one of my goals, is to see that happen. So,
Let me say, as the person that has said a number of things, I promised Mr. Gray that I would not bring it up tonight, and that's
Okay.
why he has left. They're coming in March,
okay,
and I'll reserve all of my comments till then.
okay.
Thank you. Did you want to?
So we're going to meet on March 10th.
Yeah, that was
Correct.
brought up at our last meeting.
Okay, all of us will meet on that, correct?
Yes. Okay.
And they will bring their team, I assume.
They're supposed to have everybody here.
Okay. I just, I think if other people could see what I saw, the preliminary plans, they would be excited about the possibility of that happening as well. And the good news is, they're not asking the city to do it, they're just asking for support. They're asking for us to say, yeah, we hope that you can get this done. So, okay, so we'll be here on March 10th, March 17th. Are they gonna be set aside for, is this gonna be part of the regular work session?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other old business? And if you think so, we can always go back to it. Next item, new business, 10.1. This is an application to fund the creation of the design guidelines for the city's historic districts. We have staff here to answer questions if needed, and if not, I'll entertain a motion.
If I may, Your Honor,
Go ahead.
there's a slight change to the financials.
Okay.
It's an $18,000 grant, $10,800 would be from Kentucky Heritage Council, $7,200 would be from our local match. I just wanted that clarification.
Okay. All right, that doesn't affect anything other than just correcting those two financials. All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Rush?
If Gary could come up, I'd like to ask him a few questions. Just a couple of clarifications. I'd ask you a few things on this. Basically, this is a mechanism by which to strengthen what you had been working on, which were design guidelines for Architectural Review Board, correct?
Yes, and I'm more professional on that, yes.
Okay. Now, you can still move forward with code changes and that kind of stuff, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And if we go this route with the grant and we accept the grant, we would not be able to have rear windows have a lower standard in the central business district. Is that correct?
That's the initial feeling right now, yes. There's been some discussion back and forth with the Heritage Council and staff. We're trying to work out some of those issues.
Okay.
The initial feeling is it wouldn't meet the CLG guidelines if we would allow vinyl in, let's say, downtown or the corner celebrities area.
And if we weren't able to work out those kinks, we could still back out of it if we chose to do so even if we were awarded the money. Is that correct?
Yes, we could, hopefully we can work out the kinks before May, which is when we should, usually May we hear about the grant, that we've been awarded or not awarded. We don't have the funding currently. We are going to be asking for the funding in the upcoming budget in our account for the financial analysis. So if we're awarded the grant, we can say, no, thank you, we changed our minds, or we can accept it. During the process, CLG doesn't like the guidelines that are being proposed. We either would have to pay the full amount, $18,000 estimate, or probably pay the full amount, or change the guidelines to meet their needs.
So we're not locking ourselves into anything, is what you're telling me?
No, other than CLG, the Heritage Council would have a strong voice in what the design guidelines come out to be because we are a CLG community. That's my initial belief and understanding.
So if I'm Jim Smith and I want to put a building in, or I own a building in the downtown area, central business area, and it's $200,000 to put the proper window on an alley, which let's say 46 cars a week go down, and the other alternative is $50,000, I'm stuck.
What the CLG guidelines are and what the way it basically currently is administratively, we would not be able to approve that.
That's
You would
what
have
I'm
to go to the
asking.
Architectural Review Board. Architectural Review Board could approve it. So it's not an absolute no from the go. It's just a no.
How often have they waived that? You know of
In
any
the
case?
downtown area,
Yes, sir. None.
one,
Okay, good.
I
Okay.
think, in my tenure,
How long you been here?
12 years.
Okay. So if we don't seek this grant and we go ahead and do it, what are the downsides?
If our guidelines come out and the Heritage Council and the guidelines don't meet the CLG standards, they could say that we either have to amend them or no longer be a CLG community, which means we wouldn't. Initially, it means we wouldn't be awarded any future CLG grants, and I'm not sure what it does to pending grants in the works that we have or future issues.
So do they have written standards that they are using that they're applying here, or is it just on a case-by-case basis? Or the standards flexible? In other words, is there a way to work these kinks out, or are we lost already?
I believe there's a way to work some of the kinks out. There are written standards, but every administrator, like myself, we have written zoning laws, but every department director can look at it and interpret it differently. So it's just a method of interpretation, same words written. That's why we have an appeal process.
And that's why you've used the term guidelines on this anyway, to give it a little more flexibility.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what's your recommendation?
When I was approached by staff, we were given two options for how we could apply, if we were to apply for this grant, and I supported this version, so that's why it's, one of the reasons why it's before you is because I do support it. It will, while I can work on the code changes, it will definitely free up my time on trying to make the fancy, pretty design guidelines and let a professional firm just do that and go forward.
And you think there's a chance we can work out the kinks?
I think so, yes. Again, we will not please all.
Probably won't please most.
You said what, Mike?
Probably won't please most.
Probably won't please, well,
Thank you.
but that's, I'll definitely know by May.
Let me ask a question. What's the deadline on this? March 3rd.
To apply. And I believe in the past, you all have applied for a grant and held the final authority of whether we would spend the money or not upon whether we were awarded that or not. And that was not my department. It was a city commission discussion early in your all's tenure of this cycle.
If you're not comfortable, commission, we don't have to do it. It's not a do or die situation, and if need be, we can find the money the additional $10,000+ somewhere in the budget if it's important enough to plan it. If you're not comfortable doing the grant application.
If I may, if you don't move forward, staff will still work on it. It'll be a little longer as far as staff. But we are working on it, and we are trying to move forward.
But won't the same problem be there?
Yes. Potentially, yes. As far as will the Heritage Council approve staff's version versus the consultant's version that they're paying for?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Yes, but it's worth the effort, regardless whether you use a consultant or keep staff working on it. I think it's worth the effort.
Yeah,
to
because you're
find
doing
out.
other things as well. It's not just that issue.
Correct. And it's a real issue, a concern. The citizen, we did a survey, had great responses. A lot of the responses was, we care less when you can't see from the front street.
Which is why you made the recommendation to begin with.
And that's where we're headed. So, we'll see.
And then, living in this district, I could just say that it's, myself and other people I've talked to, is we really just care that you just upkeep your property. I don't care how you do it, but upkeep it. I don't care if you have vinyl windows. I just care that you upkeep it. You don't have birds flying in your roof. You have your gutters put on. It looks nice. It helps the property value of everybody else. I don't care how you do it.
And it's
Just
occupied.
upkeep it. Yeah. Yeah, just upkeep it.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
I just want to say I wasn't uncomfortable because I was pleased with your recommendation. I found myself getting more uncomfortable now, primarily because I'm not really sure. Because when I first looked at this, it took time away from you so you can do other things, which we want to get done because we can move faster with two people doing different jobs. And the most it looked like it was going to cost us is $7,200 if we get the grant, because we're only in the application process. So I'm comfortable with moving forward, but I just want to make sure the rest of the commission is comfortable, and otherwise I'm trying to figure out why they are uncomfortable. Because they're uncomfortable, maybe I should be uncomfortable and just don't know it.
I'm uncomfortable because I want people to not have to meet those standards on windows in the back. But you're telling me that that's going to be an issue whether the staff does it or not. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, then I proceed with trying to get it cheaper and then try to work the kinks out.
Just to clarify,
I'm with you.
commission, this isn't, we're not voting on any of the guidelines. This is just on putting the guidelines in a format
But
that
it leads to that.
Yes.
Leads to that problem. I'd proceed.
Just need a motion.
Make a motion that we proceed.
By Commissioner Roach.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Haynes. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Head?
No.
Mayor May?
Yes. Item is adopted. Next item is 10.2, and it's authorizing the payment to the property valuation administrator for county assessment services for 2013-2014, the amount of $40,000. Any questions on this item?
I make a motion to approve.
Moved by Commissioner Roach. Second by Commissioner Haynes. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Haynes?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Head?
Yes.
Mayor May?
Yes. Is there any other new business? Commissioner Roach has his hand up. Go ahead.
I'd like for the city attorney to investigate if a nonprofit or a foundation, which would obviously be nonprofit, built the indoor recreation center, if we could be exempted from prevailing wage laws. Because let's say the indoor rec center's $20 million. If you can save $4 million and do it for 16, that seems to me something to be worth looking at. That's the main driver of costs for schools and all these other things, because when you go through the government, you have to pay the extra 20%. And that might make this topic that we've been talking about for years more doable if we can run it through a nonprofit. That's not saying we lose I realize you lose authority, but it's something to look at.
If there's no objection, the city attorney will get that information. Is there any other new business or next item of business is adjournment.
I move adjournment.
Moved by Commissioner Bowers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roach.
Nobody wants to go home?
It was your turn.
Any discussion?
It was your
Seeing
turn.
none, clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Roach?
Yes.
Commissioner Hayes?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Commissioner Hayden?
Yes.
Mayor May?
Yes, we're adjourned. So I should have voiced it.
Katie.